to Canada Post now, a company in a whole lot of trouble. It's lost billions of dollars in recent years, $400 million alone in the second quarter, hemorrhaging money. Its viability is in question, on the verge of bankruptcy, ongoing labor disputes, a possible strike looming, a strike late last year. You get the picture. Ottawa now announcing it's going to be making some changes to the way Canada Post operates to try and keep it afloat. There are those ongoing labor disputes which continue to cause lots of problems for the company. Listen to this from the minister.
I'm asking Canada Post to take immediate steps to address its financial challenges. That means finding efficiencies, reducing costs, reducing overhead, and I want to be clear, that also means reviewing and lightening its management structure.
Yeah, so they're talking about a flexibility in delivery standards, which is an interesting way of putting it. Basically, what that means is delivery will be cut back in terms of people getting mail at their homes. They will put a renewed emphasis on those community mailboxes, adding millions more addresses. At the end of the day, within about 10 years, there could be no more home delivery to people at their residences in terms of, getting the mail in your mailbox. Most Canadians don't do it that way anyway. You live in apartment buildings, condo buildings, whatever it might be. But a lot of people still do get home delivery at their home, and that may in all likelihood change. The government saying they just cannot afford to keep shoveling the money out the door ad nauseum to keep Canada Post above water, and we've got to come up with some radical solutions. And everybody is included here. All Canadians need to understand that what worked in the past is not going to work anymore. Let's bring in Ian Lee. He's a business analyst at Carleton University, very familiar with the Canada Post file here. Ian, what do you make of what we heard from the Carney government's minister responsible, Joël Lightbone?
I applaud it completely. This is long overdue. I published my report in 2015. Is the check still in the mail? And I came up with recommendations, including these three that they're doing today. At the time, Prime Minister Trudeau rejected those. The cabinet rejected them. Canada Post management rejected them. The Blue Ribbon panel that I testified before rejected them, as did Cup W. And I didn't have any special magical insight, Todd. Anybody who looked at the data in the audited annual report of collapsing demand for postal services would have come to the same conclusion. Anybody. The data was screaming at us that this was the Canada Post desperately needed to be restructured and reformed to deal with the fact we're no longer in the old analog economy of 100 years ago or even 30 years ago. We're in the digital economy. Okay, that was then, this is now, and what the government did today was, as I said, long overdue, but absolutely essential. There are no alternatives. Mail is down by 65 to 70%, the number of pieces delivered from over 5.5 billion pieces a year to 2 billion and continuing to fall. They've lost over half of their market share in parcels. This is, as I said, long overdue to get a handle on their cost structure because they're running up deficits of over $1 billion a year, and they're getting bigger year by year.
Yeah, and so I just want to be clear, is it your understanding that, eventually, within the next 4, 5, 6, 7 years or so, there will really be no more door-to-door home delivery at people's residences? I don't mean apartment buildings, I don't mean condo buildings, I mean, the old classic house, standalone house. People will no longer have mail in their mailbox. They're going to have to go to a community mailbox, at the corner, down the street, wherever it may be.
That decision was made in 2013-14. Canada Post announced it, and then when the new government came in, the Trudeau government, they reversed the decision. Deloitte was hired, and they said the cost of home delivery to the 25% of Canadians, and full disclosure, I'm one of them, in the most privileged neighborhoods in Canada, Rosedale, the Beaches in Toronto, Town of Mount Royal, Rockcliffe and the Glebe here in Ottawa. The wealthiest neighborhoods in Canada were the only people getting home delivery to the door, and it was costing, per Deloitte, $500 million a year. And that reversal of that decision, because we did it for another 10 years, came to $5 billion of additional costs, which is almost the total amount of the losses from the last 5 or 6 or 7 years. So that's one example. 3/4 of Canadians haven't had home delivery to the door, to the front doorstep, since starting in the 80s when the former President Michael Warren announced community mailboxes. It was, I think, 1986. So again, this was a decision long overdue, and that was so costly. This is going to save, I estimate the figure today is about 700 to 800 million for home delivery. Overnight, they're going to take that off of their cost expenditure. Closing rural post offices is going to save them hundreds of millions of dollars. Going from 5-day a week when people aren't writing letters anymore is going to save them in the billions. So this is going to buy time for Canada Post to restructure to become competitive in parcels. This is not a plea or an argument for getting rid of the post office, but they have to reinvent themselves.
We're going to be talking with a representative of the union later this hour, and I want to just give you an opportunity, Ian, to give me your sense on what you think they are going to say, because amid all of this nightmare, I mean, there is still ongoing labor disputes. We had a massive strike late last year, which caused a lot of problems, and now there's still this labor showdown that's brewing amid the fact that the ship's going down. What do you think the reaction will be from the union? Because it sounds to me, based on some of these tweaks, cutbacks, and streamlining, that there are going to be job losses.
There are going to be job losses for, let me put another metric on the table, and this is all from the audited annual reports. People write me and say, this is your opinion. No, these numbers and metrics I'm quoting are from the audited annual reports tabled in the Parliament of Canada, prepared by the auditors. CUPW up until now has denied these changes and trends. They're on the record repeatedly, and I'm not anti-CUPW. I am unionized at Carleton University. But what my plea to the CUPW people is, look, the society is changing. The world is changing. We're in the digital economy, so get out there and start representing your workers, negotiating generous compensation for the people who are going to lose their jobs, because let's be very clear, when salaries are approximately 75% of total costs of Canada Post, that's in the report, the only way you can get rid of large amounts of costs is to get rid of people. And there's 65,000 people in the Post Office of Canada, and the CEO and the CFO has stated in the audited annual report that it is completely unsustainable to have such a large operation with so many people when 2/3 or more of your business has vanished. I mean, imagine my university, if we lost 3/4 of all our students, they just disappeared. And yet we kept our old cost structure as if we still had thousands and thousands more of students. It's just unsustainable. That's the problem facing Canada Post, and CUPW should be negotiating generous compensation programs for these people who are going to lose their jobs.
Ian Lee, business analyst in Ottawa with Carleton University, very familiar with the Canada Post file. Ian, thanks for your time. Much appreciated.
My pleasure. Thanks very much, Todd.